Happy New Year, everybody. Okay, so at the top of every new year, I like to make a list of all of the movies and TV shows that I am excited for. And for this year, I couldn't help but notice the sheer amount of CBMs and CBTV shows coming out, so I wanted to make a video to help you all make your own lists. I'll also be giving some recommendations, so if you'd like to get into comics more this year, or if you're the kind of person who likes to read the source material before going to go see the film or the show adaptation, I got you. I'm a longtime comic book fan, and I obviously haven't read everything, and everyone has different tastes, but if you see something on this list that you didn't like or that you think there was a better rec out there, well, just please remember to be respectful about it. I am only one person who is trying her best with the knowledge I have and the opinions I hold and with the research I could do in a reasonable amount of time. Starting, of course, with January 2026, we have The Beauty. The Beauty premieres on January 21st on FX. This sci-fi body horror is created by Ryan Free Me from the shackles of his shows Murphy and Matt Hodgson. It follows FBI agents Cooper Madsen and Jordan Bennett as they investigate the Beauty STD, which causes aesthetic effects but proves lethal. Starring Evan Peters, Anthony Ramos, Jeremy Pope, Ashton Kutcher, and Rebecca Hall. The horror comic series of the same name was written by Jeremy Hahn and Jason A. Hurley, and the first comic came out in 2015. It follows police detectives Vaughn and Foster, who find themselves investigating a series of deaths that seem to involve people infected with the STD, the Beauty, which causes people's bodies to immediately change into a more beautiful version of themselves. From what I'm seeing, apart from the general concept, this show is going to be pretty different from the comic book, different characters, different settings, and different cases. From online chatter, I'm hearing that fans of the comic are relieved with this news since there's less room for error whenever you're just adapting the concept rather than the storyline. As someone who has read the original comics, I would totally recommend it. The art is great, the mysteries are intriguing, and it had me hooked right away. Two other recs for you. The concept actually reminded me a little bit of the graphic novel Black Hole by Charles Burns. I remember liking it quite a bit, so if you want to see some super cool art and panel arrangements, I'd recommend that. This is also going to be adapted into a TV series written and directed by Jane Schonburn, who made I Saw the TV Glow. And if you know, you know. This is quite literally the perfect person to adapt this. Another amazing body horror comic with awesome art and a great story is Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. I recommend this constantly for literally any comic book reader, but especially people who love body horror as much as I do. Wonder Man premieres on January 27th on Disney Plus. Marvel has been absolute buns at marketing this, but if you're even a little uninterested, just go watch that trailer to turn those doubts around completely because it looks really fun and really well made. The show centers on Simon Williams, a struggling actor with superpowers in a world where superpowered individuals are outlawed in Hollywood. He wants to star in the remake of the in-universe film Wonder Man. This show stars Yahya Abdul Mateen II and Ben Kingsley. Wonder Man, or Simon Williams, was created by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Don Heck in 1964. Actor, villain, hero, Vision's brother, Beast's BFF, or lover, depending on who you ask, and the universe. Marvel never knew what to do with him. He hopped around teams for a while, as most comic book characters do, but they just kind of give up on him when they don't know what to do with him. I actually really loved him in West Coast Avengers, so it's my great pleasure to recommend West Coast Avengers to you. Wonder Man is a founding member of this team. The series is also very 80s in both great and dated ways, but it's overall a pretty great read. He had a solo series in the 90s written by Evil Poopy Doo Doo Man. Let's just put it that way. That series is tainted forever because of the writer, which is a shame, but maybe he shouldn't have been evil and disgusting. So take this as an anti-rec. If there's one thing about Wonder Man, he has always worked better in a team or duo dynamic. And maybe the MCU caught on to that, which is why the show looks like a buddy comedy with Simon and Trevor from Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi. His and Beast's dynamic is so ridiculously good that they have a 3-issue miniseries, which I'll also recommend. It's pretty decent. The last thing I'll recommend is Uncanny Avengers 2012. Lots of people got into his character for the first time through this series, including me. It's very exciting that his story directly connects with other characters that we know are coming back in the future of the MCU, like Vision, Tony slash Doom, Ultron, and Mephisto. Can't wait to see how he impacts the rest of the multiverse saga and going into the next era. Oh, and Beast. Yeah, and Beast is here. He was in a movie, in an MCU movie. Oh yeah, definitely go read that miniseries. 100%. Okay, skipping February and going straight into March, we have season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, which is said to premiere in March on Disney Plus, but no word on a date yet, and no trailer or teaser to be seen, so March, I guess. Since this is season 2, I'm not going to explain what happens in the show, just go watch season 1. My personal thoughts on season 1 are that I enjoyed it, but I had some problems where I felt like they didn't take some cool story or stylistic opportunities that they probably would have taken back in the Netflix days. And I did not feel very connected to some of the new characters. But it's not bad, and it's not even mid, I would say. I actually really enjoyed it, and I felt like they put in the work and made something really cool, especially knowing that the show got so reworked last minute. Daredevil, or Matt Murdock, was created by Stan Lee in 1964, lawyer by day, vigilante by night, blind, religious, bagging baddies left, right, and center. Okay, I'm going to recommend some Daredevil beginner comics. Frank Miller's Man Without Fear, Frank Miller's Born Again, Jeff Loeb's Daredevil Yellow. I reread one of my favorite one-shots recently, which is a backup feature called Three Jacks by, of course, Ann Nocenti, which is an excellent one for a seasoned Daredevil fan if you haven't already read it. Season 4 of Invincible is once again set to premiere in March on Amazon Prime Video, and just like Daredevil, we have no date, no teaser, no trailer. I must admit, I haven't seen Invincible, which I think is a crime as a superhero fan, and I'm very sorry. But it's just one of those shows that I always say I'm going to get to, and then I push it off, and then I don't get to it. It's not that I don't think I'm not going to like it. It's just that I think, I don't know, it's just hard sometimes. You guys know what I mean. I know people love it. I'll get to it eventually, but since this is season 4, I'm not going to get into the story. Just go watch seasons 1 through 3 if you're interested. As for the comics, Invincible is a comic book series that started in 2003, written by Robert Kirkman and published by Image Comics, about Mark Grayson, or Invincible, who is the firstborn son of Omni-Man, the most powerful superhero on Earth. I haven't read them, and I hear differing opinions about them all the time, whether it's good or not. I know not that much about it, so I can't recommend it in good conscience. So I'm just going to recommend another popular Robert Kirkman comic that I've read and know is great, which is The Walking Dead, of course. Okay, going right into April, we have season 5 of The Boys, which premieres on April 8th on Amazon Prime Video. I'm so sorry to do this to you all again. This is the last time, I promise, but I'm not even close to being caught up on The Boys. Obviously, go watch The Boys seasons 1 through 4 if you're interested. The Boys is a comic book series that started in 2006, written by Garth Ennis and published by Wildstrom, and later by Dynamite Entertainment. The series takes place in a world where superheroes are corrupted by their celebrity status and are reckless, compromising the safety of the world. The story follows a CIA squad, informally known as the Boys, led by Billy Butcher, who are tasked with monitoring the superhero community. I haven't read them. I have friends who read them, and they thought that the comics were... Well, most people are going to tell you that they're bad. And I've heard that they're just extremely edgy in a 15-year-old boy sort of way. I also heard that they're just very dated. It makes sense. Once again, I cannot in good conscience recommend you The Boys comics, as I don't know that much about it. I actually don't even know that much about the TV show aside from this meme.
Take your fucking twink and get the fuck out of here!
Mom.
Which has clawed its way into my brain in an unexplainable way. I think about it quite literally once a week. I love it so much. What I do know, though, is that the head writer of the TV series, Eric Kripke, wrote Supernatural. And Supernatural has a comic run that's out right now, not the old one. There's a new run for Supernatural right now, and it's pretty good, so I'd recommend that. I'm actually super excited to talk about this next one. Okay, Four Kids Walk into a Bank in theaters April 17th. This film was originally adapted by Matt Robinson, with this being Frankie Shaw's directorial debut, starring Liam Neeson, Talia Ryder, Whitney Peake, Jack Dylan Grazer, Spike Fern, Teresa Palmer, and Jim Sturgis. The film is about an ex-bank robber, Danny, whose teenage granddaughter, Paige, means the world to him, so when she overhears that his former gang is pulling him back in for one more score to pay a debt, she comes up with the only logical solution. She enlists her three ride or die best friends to rob the bank the day before so that he doesn't have to. Filming took place in Ireland back in 2024. The comic series by the same name, written by Matthew Rosenberg, started in 2016. There are only 5 issues, and it's excellent. It's about a young girl and her friends who are pulling off a bank heist to keep her father out of trouble after some ex-cons enlist his help in pulling off the heist. So the film adaptation looks like they changed Paige's father to her grandfather and aged the kids up to teens. They're like 11 or 12 in the comic. When I found out that this was getting adapted into a movie, I was over the moon. I obviously recommend this comic, like seriously, go read it right now. It is heartfelt, emotional, and the perfect adventurous coming of age story. I am not going to recommend anything else for this section. Just go read that. Weirdly enough, skipping over May, I know that Marvel likes a movie to release in May a lot of the time, but we're skipping over May and we're going into June. Supergirl in theaters June 26th. Directed by Craig Gillespie, who directed one of my very favorite films of all time, I, Tonya. Supergirl is about Kara Zor-El, who is celebrating her 23rd birthday by getting drunk across the galaxy with her dog Krypto. Her travels are stopped after meeting a girl named Ruthie, and she experiences a tragedy that leads her on a quest for revenge. Starring Millie Alcock, Matthias Schoenaerts, and Eve Ridley, with Jason Momoa as Lobo. I am a big Kara fan. She's one of my absolute favorite comic book characters ever, ever, ever. So I am just so hyped, and I have been hyped for this for a very long time. Craig Gillespie noted I haven't seen everything that he's done, but from my experience, he does flawed women characters pretty well. I'm not super worried in that department. I have faith it'll be good. Supergirl, or Kara Zor-El, was created by Otto Binder in 1959. Cousin to Superman, very different from him. She's the last one to remember living in and losing her home. She can be very angry, cynical, and distant due to her trauma, but she's just a person trying to do good and succeeding at it, despite it all. I love her. I love her so much. I'll recommend a couple of good starters for people who really want to get into Kara as a character. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King, which I cannot believe that he wrote this masterpiece, but can't seem to get a handle on another popular DC woman to save his life. This story is the one that's being adapted for the film. I will also recommend Supergirl Being Super by Mariko Tamaki, which I personally really loved, even though it's out of main continuity. All right, moving into July, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day in theaters July 31st. Directed by Destil Daniel Creighton, we know very little about this film, so let's talk about what we do know. Chris McKenna and Eric Summers are back to write this one. They filmed in Scotland and in England, and it stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jacob Batalon again, with Spider-Man newcomers Sadie Sink, Lisa Colon-Zayas, John Bernthal as Frank Castle / Punisher, and Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner / Hulk. I wrote down the history of Spider-Man, but I'm not going to really get into it. I think everybody knows who Spider-Man is. I'll only say this. Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, was created by Stan Lee in 1962. I think that's pretty much the only thing that people might not know. So let's move on. It's really hard to recommend just a couple of Spider-Man comics because there is so much great material. Even though the obvious answer seems like it should be the Spider-Man Brand New Day storyline of The Amazing Spider-Man from 2008, They'll obviously take elements from that story. Like, if you know that story, then you know with how the way No Way Home ended, they're going to take a couple of elements from Brand New Day 2008. But also knowing Marvel, they usually just like to name a film after a comic storyline as like an Easter egg and like nothing more. If you're a Spider Man beginner or you just don't know that much about Spider Man or you really want to get into him, then, it's got to be the generic answer, which is Ultimate Spider Man by Brian Michael Bendis. For stories with the Hulk, the Ultimate Spider Man Annual number 3 from 1966, I am not going to pretend I pulled that one out of my ass. I did research for that. Also, I can't help myself. I'm going to recommend an Immortal Hulk story again, okay? The Immortal Hulk Great Power by Tom Taylor, which is a one shot and it takes place right before Immortal Hulk number 14. Also, Punisher and Spidey have a lot of interactions in the comics. Frank actually debuted in a Spider Man comic, The Amazing Spider Man number 129 from 1973. The Punisher War Journal number 14 and number 15 is a two-parter about Spidey and Punisher fighting neo Nazis, and it shows how similar they are in like goals, but contrasting how different they are in methods. All I'll say is, as long as Frank goes in heavy with the nicknames like Wall Crawler or Webhead, we're good in this movie. Skipping August and moving into September, we have Clayface in theaters September 11th. I'm very excited. Directed by James Watkins, this film will be a body horror story about an actor whose face is disfigured by a gangster and turns to a scientist for help as a last resort. Written by one of my filmmaking heroes, Mike Flanagan, and starring Tom Rhys-Harris, Naomi Ackie, and Max Mignella. I heard that Clayface in this film will be Matt Hagen, who is the second iteration of Clayface in the comics. So Clayface, or Matt Hagen, was created by Bill Finger in 1961. He is a treasure hunter who gets turned into clay from a radioactive pool in a cave. It's always a radioactive something. He is a shapeshifter of sorts. He can turn his body into anyone or anything. Obviously, they're taking a different approach with the origin story, instead going more closely with the first iteration of Clayface in the comic's origin, which is Basil Carlo, who is a B-list actor driven mad by the knowledge that a remake of a movie he starred in would be remade without him, causing him to dress as a character he played and going on a murder spree. I highly recommend the one-shot Batman One Bad Day, Clayface, written by the duo Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. In my opinion, if the film is going to closely adapt anything, it'll be this. It's got great commentary surrounding the film industry, plus the art and storytelling are just top tier. Before anybody comments, yes, I know that Mike Flanagan said that the backstory for Clayface in this new movie will be inspired by Clayface's backstory in Batman the Animated Series, so I got you there. This is going to be just like such a good year for two of my favorite niches, CBMs and body horror. I'm just so excited. Okay, so we are going to skip October and November and go straight into December for probably the most anticipated CBM of the year, which is Avengers Doomsday. In theaters, December 18th. Directed by the Russo brothers, we know very little about this one, even after 4 teasers, but we do know a lot of the cast. We know that Chris Evans as Steve Rogers is back, we know that RDJ as Dr. Doom is coming, and we know that Michael Waldron and Stephen McFeely are the writers. One last thing that we know is that this is going to be the very first step into ending the multiverse saga of the MCU. Dr. Doom is the villain of this film and also one of my very favorite superhero villains of all time. So I'm very nervous because not only is he in this movie, but also my favorite character in all of fiction is also in this movie. There's really no time to dwell on certain rumors. I have lots of time to be anxious about that later. Okay, I'll move on to just giving you some Doom Recs because I actively feel my stomach hurting from getting anxious about this movie. So the first one is Doom Quest, Iron Man number 149 and 150 from 1968. And believe it or not, when I was writing the script, I actually did pull that one out of my ass. So Books of Doom by my king, Ed Brubaker. And if you want to go on a long, long, long journey leading to the Secret Wars film. You can read all 230 issues at the Secret Wars event. I'm not going to name them here. You can go look them up. Okay, a to be determined date speed run. I'm just going to be going over what we know about each of these projects and doing recs in a quick fire fashion. Vision Quest is going to be a miniseries on Disney Plus starring Paul Bettany, James Spader, Todd Stashwick, Rui Malika, and Tania Miller, with showrunner Terry Matalas. The Vision Quest storyline in West Coast Avengers is a must. The Vision 2015 by Tom King. I hate to put him on here again, trust me, I know. And I was going back and forth on whether to recommend a more Tommy-centric story, but I'm just going to recommend you Young Avengers 2005, number 10, and then Avengers Children's Crusade by Alan Heinberg if you want some good, like, Tommy, Billy, brother moments. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2 will be on Disney Plus with showrunner Jeff Trammell. Apparently, Gwen Stacy and Venom are going to be appearing this season. Did you know there's a tie-in comic? Because there's a tie-in comic. It's a prequel to the first season of the show, and if you loved the first season, or if you really enjoy a bright, fun Spider-Man comic, I would give this one a read. Spider Noir. Spider Noir is a series on MGM Plus with showrunners Oren Oziel and Steve Lightfoot, starring Nicolas Cage, Lamorne Morris, and Brendan Gleeson. We do have a premise for this one, actually. Spider Noir tells the story of an aging and down on his luck private investigator in 1930s New York who is forced to grapple with his past life as the city's one and only superhero. For my Rex, Spider-Man Noir 2008 by David Hine, and the current run by Eric Larson is actually really, really good. Lanterns will be a series on HBO Max with showrunner Chris Mundy, starring Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre as John Stewart. Hal Jordan is a seasoned Lantern approaching retirement, and John Stewart is the trainee who will replace him. Together they investigate a murder in Nebraska, which leads them to darker mysteries as well as reckonings. For my Rex, obviously, Jeff Johns' run for Hal. Like, I can't, like, I know it's the generic answer, but just like it's excellent. You can't not recommend it. And for John, I would say Lantern War Journal from 2023, which this actually made John my favorite Green Lantern. Batman Nightfall Part 1. So there was an announcement for a Nightfall multi-part animated film series set for release this year. But there's been very little reporting about it since its announcement at New York Comic Con this past year. The logline is when the mysterious behemoth known as Bane frees Batman's entire rogues gallery from Arkham Asylum, the Caped Crusader is pushed to his mental and physical breaking point. This is going to be directed by Jeff Wamster and written by Jeremy Adams. There is no cast attached yet. Yeah, I'm just going to recommend the obvious, which is Batman Nightfall from 1930? What? No, 1993. X-Men 97 Season 2 will be on Disney Plus with head writer Matthew Chauncey. We don't know much about this season post-rewrites. We only know what the former head writer described his version of Season 2 would have been, but since it's not going to be that anymore, I will not get into it. I am hyped for this. X-Men 97 has been one of my very favorite superhero projects in like the past decade. For Rex, if you're a new X-Men reader, then it's gotta be Uncanny X-Men by Chris Claremont, which is the generic answer, but it's, once again, just so good. Sometimes the generic answer is the best answer. If you're asking me and you're not like totally new to X-Men, then the first thing falling out of my mouth is going to be X-Men Red from 2022. But you're also asking like a huge Storm fan. Well, you didn't ask me anything, actually. I'm just telling you. My Adventures with Superman Season 3 will air on Adult Swim with showrunners Jake Wyatt, Brendan Clarr, and Josie Campbell. Not much word on anything else about Season 3. Sorry. There's a tie-in comic that takes place between Seasons 1 and 2 that I heard was pretty good, and if you are a Superman beginner, then I'll give you some recs for that too. Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb, or Superman Birthright by Mark Waid. An unnamed Punisher special is happening this year and going out on Disney Plus, directed by Ronaldo Marcus Green. We know nothing plot-wise, but they did film from July to August of last year in New York City. Okay, my last rec of this video is going to be Punisher 2011 by Greg Rucka. And that's it for 2026 CBMs and CBTV shows. Please let me know what you're most excited to watch in the comments below. And if you're a seasoned comic reader and you want to add some recs, then I would love to see them in the comments below. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good new year. Bye bye.